Hi students, how are you? So in last class we were discussing about the changes that takes place in body of boys and girls during puberty. So today we can discuss about the secondary sexual characters. So our next topic is secondary sexual characters. So we have seen that during adolescence, the testes and ovaries begin to develop the gametes. So what happens in boys? Boys, testes begin to produce the male gamete, sperms. And in girls, ovaries begin to produce the female gamete, ova or egg. And in boys, we can see boys begin to grow facial hair, that is mustache and beard. And they begin to develop hair on their chest region also. And in girls also we can see breasts begin to develop. In boys, testes begin to produce sperms and facial hair grows, mustache and beard grows, and hair on chest also grows. And in girls, ovaries begin to produce ova and breast also begin to develop. Till this age in physical appearance, there is not so many difference between boys and girls. But these features help us to distinguish the male and male from female. So these characters are called as secondary sexual characters. Then in both boys and girls, hair grows under their arms and the region above the thigh or in the pubic region. So these are the secondary sexual characters or the changes which occur during puberty. Now we can look how these changes are taking place or what initiates these changes in the body at puberty. These changes which occur at adolescence are controlled by hormones. So some hormones are controlling these changes. Then what are hormones? Hormones are some chemicals that are secreted by some glands in our body. These glands are called endocrine glands. So endocrine glands are the glands that secrete hormones. And these endocrine glands do not have ducts. They are ductless glands. So they are releasing their hormones directly into blood also. Okay. So here we learned that testes produce not only the sperms. Testes produce the hormone testosterone. And it is this testosterone that causes changes in boys during puberty. And ovaries produce not only the ovum, it also produces the hormones estrogen and progesterone. And it is the estrogen that makes the breast development, milk secreting glands or mammary glands develop inside the breast and all. So the changes in the body of girls during puberty is brought about by the action of hormone estrogen. Okay, and the production of these hormones, that is production of testosterone and estrogen, that is under the control of another hormone which is secreted from an endocrine gland called pituitary gland. So the action of the hormones testosterone and estrogen is under the action of a hormone that is secreted by a gland called pituitary gland. And this pituitary gland is located at the base of the brain and it is referred to as the body's master gland because it controls the activity of most of the other hormone secreting glands. So here the hormone that is secreted by pituitary gland stimulate testes and ovaries to produce their hormones. Okay. So pituitary gland produce so many hormones like growth hormone, or it secretes so many hormones that make other glands like testes, ovaries, thyroids, adrenal, all these to secrete their hormones. Okay. So testes and ovaries are producing their hormones by the stimulation of a hormone that is secreted by the master gland, pituitary gland. And we saw that these endocrine glands do not have ducts or they are ductless glands. So they are secreting their hormones directly into blood. So through the blood, these hormones will reach at the particular body part. So where they are acting, they will reach that body part through the blood. That particular body part where they reach is called target site. So through blood, the hormones reach the particular body part, and that particular body part is called target site. So here hormones from pituitary stimulate testes and ovaries to release testosterone and estrogen. So the hormones from the pituitary gland will stimulate the testes to release testosterone and ovaries to release estrogen. Then what is the next step? Released in the bloodstream and reach parts of the body or target sites. So these hormones are released into the bloodstream, and through the blood it will reach the target site. For example, in boys, for development of facial hair, it will reach the face. Then what happens? Stimulate changes in the body at onset of puberty, and it will make changes in the body or make the development of facial hair in boys. Okay. So now we understand that puberty marks the beginning of the reproductive period when one becomes capable of reproduction. So the ability to reproduce begin at puberty. Now when does it end? Or can we reproduce throughout our life? Or is there an end to our ability to reproduce? So our next topic is reproductive phase of life in humans. In females, the reproductive phase of life begins at puberty. That is from the age of 10 or 12 or 14, the reproductive phase begins. And it generally lasts till the age of 45 to 50 years old. Okay, so it begins from 10 or 12 or 14 years of age, and it ends by the age of 45 to 50 years. Okay, so female have the ability to reproduce till 45 to 50 years of age. But the capacity for maturation and production of gametes lasts for a longer time in males than in females. So in females it will be end by the age of 15, but in males the ability to reproduce remains for a much longer time also. Okay. Then in females, the ova begin to mature with the onset of puberty. Okay, so at the time of birth, there will be so many small follicles in the ovaries. And at puberty, the ovum begin to mature inside the ovaries. So what happens? One ova mature in 1 month. So in first 1 month, one ova from this ovary may mature, and it will be released. One egg will be released from this ovary. Next month, another ova or egg will be released from this ovaries. So one ova matures and is released by one of the ovaries once in about 28 to 30 days. Okay. So here, this is one ovary. So the ovum may be released from here. And we have already discussed that in last lesson in fertilization. So when the ovum is released, the ovum will move through this oviduct and it reaches the uterus. And when ovum is released in the ovaries, we know if fertilization takes place, if fusion takes place, fusion will takes place where? In this oviduct. So zygote will be developed in the oviduct if fertilization takes place. So each time when ovum is released from the ovary, the walls of the uterus undergo so many changes. So many blood vessels will develop at the lining of the uterus. Why? We have studied that if fertilization takes place, one single celled zygote will be formed in the oviduct. Then from that oviduct, the zygote divides and form an embryo, and embryo come and stick on the wall of the uterus and begin to develop into a fetus. That we have studied in last lesson. So each time when the ovaries release the ova, at the same time what the uterus do, so many changes are taking place in the walls of the uterus. So many blood vessels will develop on the walls of the uterus for the development of the embryo. So to receive the embryo, the wall of the uterus becomes thick so as to receive the egg. So if fertilization takes place, embryo can grow in the wall of the uterus. But if fertilization is not taking place, what happens? Ovary will release the ovum, and ovum will move through this and it reaches the uterus. And when it reaches the uterus, it begins to degenerate. And what about the lining on the uterus also? no fertilization. If fertilization don't take place, no embryo. So there is no use of that lining on the uterus. So the lining on the uterus, that also will shed off from the uterus. Okay. So if fertilization does not occur, the released egg and the thickened lining of the uterus along with its blood vessels are shed off and it is passed out through the vagina. So this ovum that is released from the ovary is the ovum plus the thickening on the uterus and the blood vessels. All these shed off from the uterus and all these come out and it goes out through the vagina as a bleeding. So this causes bleeding in women and it is called as menstruation. So this process is called as menstruation. And again what happens? So again after this, next month this ovary will begin to release one ovum and that ovum will come out through the oviduct, and if at the same time uterus walls begin to thicken, wall of the uterus will begin to thicken, and if fertilization won't take place, ovum will come out through the oviduct into the uterus, and this ovum and along with the thickened lining on the uterus and blood vessels will be shed off and it come out through the vagina and it goes out. Again next month. So in each month it is taking place. But if fertilization takes place, what happens? The zygote divides and embryo come and stick to the wall and it will begin to develop. So the lining, blood vessel, everything will remain in the uterus. So no bleeding, no menstruation. So if fertilization takes place, baby will begin to grow. If fertilization won't take place, ova and blood vessels from the uterus are going out as menstruation and it continues in every month. And the first menstrual flow begins at puberty and it is termed as menarche. So first menstrual flow is called as menarche. So it begins at puberty. In some girls it will be at the age of 10 or 12 or 14. It differs in different individuals. Okay. So the first menstrual flow is called menarche. And at 45 to 15 years of age, the menstrual cycle stops. And the stoppage of menstrual cycle is termed as menopause. Okay. So first bleeding is called menarche. And the stoppage is called menopause. It comes around 45 to 50 years of age. After that, the females are not able to reproduce. So the reproductive phase or the ability to reproduce in females is from 12 to 50 years, around 12 to 50 years of age. Okay. And initially, this menstrual flow may be irregular and it takes some time to become regular. And it will continue in every month at an interval of 28 days or 30 days. This menstrual cycle is controlled by hormones and one cycle includes maturation of the egg, its release, thickening of uterine wall and its breakdown if pregnancy does not occur. All these things comes under one menstrual cycle. And if the egg is fertilized, what happens? Zygote will be formed. Zygote divides into embryo. Embryo comes to the uterus and it is embedded in the wall of the uterus and begins to develop into a fetus. Now we can look how the sex of a child is determined. We know zygote divides into embryo, embryo develops into fetus, baby is born and some of the babies will be girls, some will be boys and all. So how some become girls and some become boys? What is determining the sex of child? The instruction for determining the sex of the baby is present in the chromosomes in the fertilized egg. Do you know what is chromosome? Do you remember? In chapter 8, we learn about the structure of cell and we saw that in the center there is a structure called nucleus. And inside nucleus, we saw there is a rounded structure called nucleolus and so many hair-like structures called chromatin reticulum. And just before cell division, what happened to this chromatin reticulum? This chromatin reticulum will change into rod-shaped structures called chromosomes. Okay, and these chromosomes have DNA. DNA have units called genes, and genes are carrying all the hereditary characters from parents to offspring also. So, the chromosomes are present inside the nucleus, and all human beings have 23 pairs of chromosomes. So each living thing will have a permanent number of chromosomes, and the chromosome number in human beings is 23 pairs. So 23 pairs means 46 chromosomes. So if it is a human being will have 46 chromosomes. It is constant in each organism. In dogs it will be another number, cat it will be another number, like that. It is constant. So in human beings, chromosome number is 23 pairs or 46 chromosome, and it is present in the nucleus of each cell. Okay, and among these 22 pairs of chromosome, the 23rd, so one pair, second pair, like that, there will be 23 pairs. And the 23rd pair, so first, second, so this is the 23rd pair. And this 23rd pair of chromosome is called as sex chromosome. So it is this 26 chromosome that determines the sex of a person, whether it is male or female. That is determined by this sex chromosome. And this 23rd pair of chromosomes are called sex chromosome. Okay, and in we have a pair of chromosomes, and in female, this all other 22 pairs of chromosome are similar in male and female, but the 23rd pair is different in male and female. In female, 23rd both chromosomes are similar, and it is named as X. Both are similar, so 2X. But in male, one is shorter, other one is longer also. And this shorter one is named as Y, and the longer one is named as X chromosome. Okay, so 22 pairs are same in both male and female. 23rd pair is different in male and female. And the 23rd pair or sex chromosome in female is both chromosomes are X chromosome. Both are similar. But in male, one is shorter than the other. Shorter one is named as Y chromosome, and the other one is named as X chromosome. So male body, there are two types of chromosome, X chromosome and Y chromosome. But in female body, there is only one type of chromosome, that is X chromosome. So here, in a female, the sex chromosomes are X and X. And in a male, the sex chromosomes are X and Y. Okay, so in all cells, chromosomes exist in pairs. So we will have 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes. But in gametes, we know gametes, sperm is a cell, egg is a cell. So in gametes, chromosomes are half the number, that is not 46. In gametes there are only 23 chromosomes. That means chromosomes are not occurring in pairs. One sex chromosome will be there. So in male, it will be either X or Y. And in female, all X will be having only one chromosome, that is X chromosome. Is it clear? So in gametes, in our body, there are two types of division, mitosis and meiosis and all that you will learn in higher classes. So due to meiosis, in gametes, the chromosome number is half. So you just understand that in gametes, chromosomes are not occurring as pairs. So only 23 chromosomes are there. That means sex chromosome. Only one sex chromosome will be there. So in female, both chromosome are X. So all X will carry only which chromosome? Carry only X chromosome. But in male, 50% of the sperms will carry X chromosome and 50% of the sperms will carry Y chromosome. Just understand that. Okay, so in gametes, chromosome number is not in pairs. So sex chromosome, only one chromosome will be there in male. So in sperms, there will be Y chromosome or there will be X chromosome. But in ovum, all ova will have X chromosome. Okay. So if a parent, so during fertilization, what happens? So this is the chromosome of mother. Mother have what? X and X. Father have, what about the sex chromosome in father? X and Y also. Okay. So when gametes are formed, some ova will have this X chromosome, some will have X chromosome. So all ova will have X chromosome. But in father, some sperms will have X chromosome and some sperms will have Y chromosome. So if this egg is, during fertilization, if this egg fuses with this sperm, what about the chromosome in that new zygote? X and X. But if this ovum is fertilized by this sperm, what about the chromosome in that zygote? It will be X and Y. So what about this child? This child will have 2 X chromosome in its sex chromosome. So it will be a girl. What about this child? It have 1 X chromosome and 1 Y chromosome. So that child will be a boy child. Okay. So if the sperm is carrying, if a sperm with Y chromosome fuses with an egg, that child will be a boy. If a sperm with X chromosome fuses with the egg, then that child will be a girl also. Is it clear? So now you know that the sex chromosomes of the father determine the sex of the baby. It is not the mother. The mother always produces same kind of egg. So it is the sperm that determines the sex of the baby. If that sperm have Y chromosome, baby will be a boy. And if that sperm have X chromosome, then the baby will be a girl also. So the belief that the mother is responsible for the sex of her baby is completely wrong. We know that in olden days, everybody was blaming the mother for giving birth to a girl child and all. But actually what is happening? It is the sperm that is coming from the father that determines the sex of the child. So blaming the mother for this is totally unjustified. So now you understand how the sex of the child is determined. The sex of the child is determined by the sex chromosome that is carried by the gametes. So ovum always carry X chromosome. Sperms carry either X or Y chromosome. So it is the sperm that is determining the sex of the child. So blaming the mother is completely wrong. That you understand now. So if anybody is blaming the mother about the sex of her child, you can correct them. Okay. So clear now? Bye.